And our next guest going on another long journey with the Philadelphia Eagles, covering the Eagles for ESPN.com. He joins us on the Comcast Business Hotline, Tim McManus. Hello, Tim A.
What's up, Mike? I'll take any coffee you'll give me, man.
Well, Tim, listen, normally I can get cynical. Normally I allow for a possible stiff challenge from an opponent. But for some reason, I'm not feeling this one. And a lot of it is because we had Dick Vermeil on, and it was like a man after my own heart. I thought the Rams spilled their bucket in that game in Minnesota. Now they're going to come all the way here. It's snowy weather, the whole bit. It just doesn't seem like they can play 2 games in a row like that to provide a challenge to the Eagles. Now tell me why I'm nuts or why I'm correct.
Yeah, I mean, that is a quick turnaround, too. It's the short week, the West Coast trip. There's been a lot, obviously, going on where they are. And so it's a big ask for them to come in against one of the best teams in football and get to that elevated state again. That's one of the big things. But they do have something that will inspire them from the last matchup for sure, and that's the fact that they got run over. And, if you listen to the Rams and Sean McVay talk, that was a humbling experience for them, the way that the Saquon just went, 255, and they just totally trucked them as a defense. And so when that happens, like a prideful group is going to want to react to that and is not going to want to lay down in this spot. And if you see the way that the defense has responded since then, at the last 4 meaningful games that they've played, so you throw out the one where they rested their starters, Week 18 against the Seahawks, they've allowed just single digits in all of those games, including against Minnesota in the wild card round. And so it does look like it's an improved team here, Mike, and an improved defense that'll come and try to give a more spirited effort this time around here in South Philly.
No, I can buy that. Their defense is a lot better, and the only thing it's going to depend on is whether they can stop the running back and get ahead and make the Eagles throw. That's the formula that all experts seem to think, that the Eagles will not be able to meet that kind of a challenge. And they were okay against Aaron Jones and Cam Akers, but it was Aaron Jones and Cam Akers. I mean, can we reasonably think that they'll have a plan to stop what the Eagles do with Saquon Barkley?
I think it's reasonable to expect that Barkley won't go that crazy, that they'll be better with their run fits, that obviously they're dedicating so much of their time to trying to figure out how they can slow Barkley in that ground game down. I'm sure they'll dedicate extra resources to it. But the one thing that I can't get past is the defensive front for the Rams can all of a sudden get bigger. You know what I mean, Mike? Like, the reason why the Eagles were so successful on the ground is because of what was happening up front, and because this offensive line was bigger and more physical at the point of attack. And that's not something that the Rams can just change overnight. Like, they're built as sort of a leaner, quicker defensive line. And if Philly is able to get their muscle on them, I just don't know how you counteract that if you're the Rams. So I think that they can improve, but still believe that the Eagles are going to lean heavy on that ground game. And as we saw sort of late in the stages in that Week 12 matchup, when the Rams were selling out at the line of scrimmage, the Barkley busts through, and it's total daylight because there's nobody at the second and third level. So if you can get through that first wave, then you're talking about a 70-plus yarder for Barkley. And so while they'll try to, I think, have, minor adjustments here, I don't know if you can change the more philosophical, the more sort of pressing problem for the Rams, and that's the fact that I don't know that they're big enough or physical enough up front.
All right, let's look at their offense. They've got a veteran quarterback who can make every throw. He is susceptible to the sack because of his lack of mobility. He hasn't been sacked a lot this year. But I look at the receivers, and they're solid. Nakua and Kupp are very solid receivers. I don't know what's going to happen with the tight end now that the Eagles have a change in linebacker, whether that's going to be a factor. But it doesn't look like the Rams can bust you offensively. Am I, again, especially against this defense? Am I missing something here?
No, I mean, I think you got it right. Kyron Williams is a good back, but he's also susceptible to fumbles. He's got 5 of them. The Eagles knocked the ball out of his hands twice, and he's a relatively small back. And I think that it goes back to sort of the physicality where they can sort of beat him up in the ground game a little bit. And then Vic Fangio's defense has just been so sound that you don't expect a lot of big breakers for the Rams, even though, to your point, like Stafford is about as good as any quarterback out there in terms of reading defense, firing off quickly. Nakua's been awesome, and so they're going to make some plays. I think really and you hit on it, is the linebacker position is kind of the X factor or the question mark for Philly. If you go back to the first matchup, Nakobe Dean was awesome. And he's been very good for this defense at identifying and flying to the ball and really making things happen. And now you're going up against Sean McVay, who I'm sure is spending a decent amount of his time saying, how can I stress whether it's Oren Burks or Jeremiah Trotter Jr., and find ways to manipulate that matchup in our favor. And so I'm sure we'll see. Kyron Williams isn't always like a big part of their passing attack, but I would expect him to be more in their passing attack because of the absence of Nakobe Dean and also the presence of Tyler Higbee, who missed a lot of the season, and he got knocked out early in that Minnesota game, but he still ended up with like 5 catches and was a big part of their game plan. I think their tight end and their running back in the passing game is going to be something that they're going to try to stress so that it exposes the weakest part of the Phillies lineup because of Nakobe's absence.
All right, here's the other 1,000-pound gorilla in the room, and it's the Kelvin Moore situation. I know you guys were asking Nick Sirianni about this whole thing. It is a very weird circumstance that he is being cultivated by 3 teams, including Dallas, and he has to do the interview today or whatever. Well, how much of a factor do you really think that is in this whole scenario?
I can already hear fans, like if they were to lose this game, and they're reacting to, and he's talking to the Cowboys the day before, so you can already hear like what it would sound like if they were to lose this game and the passing game doesn't look good. It's not ideal. Like, he's got 3 interviews this week. They're all virtual, so he's not going anywhere, and it maxes out at 3 hours apiece. But 2 of them are today. So 6 hours of Kelvin Moore's time is going to be dedicated today to coaching interviews. And then he's got another one tomorrow. The way that Sirianni framed it, it's like, he's basically saying, like, you guys are acting like, they don't, like, coaches don't have any downtime in their day. And so that's basically where they fit it in, is once the hay is in the barn and all of their work for the day is taken care of, then Moore jumps on these calls. I don't know that it's a huge deal, Mike. It's an unfortunate thing the way that the whole process goes, and then from an optics standpoint, it's not ideal. Like, there's people in this town who still blame Jonathan Gannon for not having his full attention and for the biggest game of the year, in which obviously the defense let him down. So I think it's more of an optics thing than anything else. I don't know that it's going to hold them back.
All right, so they listen, they got downtime, and so basically his family gets shortchanged, not the team. The family time gets squeezed, right?
Yeah, there's no indication that the team is worried about the fact that he's not putting sort of full forces into this matchup.
All right. Ray, you got a question for Timmy?
9
Ray
hours of downtime.
Bill Colarulo's wife had a baby, Tim.
Congrats to the Colarulo family.
Yeah. Bill's still not at the hospital. He's spending a couple nights there.
Beautiful.
All right, I'll jump into something that Bill always likes to talk about when it comes to playing the Rams, and it's the Fangio effect against Sean McVay. What do you think it's been that's made Vic Fangio successful against Sean McVay in a number of the matchups they've had in the past?
Yeah, so I think part of it is that McVay is so much of the offense is about motion, right, Ray? So it throws a lot of defenses off. There's so much eye candy, so many moving parts that it can get players sort of out of place. And one of the beauties of Fangio's defense is it's not overly complicated. And they're not going to be overreacting to the things that they say. It's going to be more about reading their keys once the ball is snapped. The other part of it is, and speaking to people about what makes Fangio as good as he is, it's his ability to adapt in real time to what's going on. So even if the defense gets bit in the first quarter by something that, McVay has concocted or another good offensive coordinator has drawn up, he's very good at identifying in real time what's going on and then being able to make the necessary tweaks in order to shut it down. So if you're going up in this chess match against somebody who's got a very high football IQ, you need to match that with somebody who has a good or greater football IQ than the person that he's going up against. And Fangio, by all accounts, aces that test for decades now. So that's really what the key is. I mean, if you want to feel confident about anybody going up against Sean McVay, you want Vic Fangio on your side.
All right, the moment of truth from Tim McManus, who covers the Eagles for ESPN.com. What you got as the score here?
Yeah, so I think that the Rams are going to come with a little bit of heat, that there are going to be moments for that defensive line, maybe generating a turnover on Jalen Hurts, strip sack, something like that. I could see some shaky moments, but ultimately I think that the physicality of this team is something that has carried them, Mike, all year. And in this particular matchup is going to be to their benefit. Maybe it's snowing outside. When the moment gets the biggest, I think that they're just going to lean on this Rams team. Saquon Barkley shows up at the end, and the Eagles win 26-20.
All right, so you got it right on the number. That's not going to give the bettors any help, Tim.
Call for can you bet a push?
I guess you can. All right, man. Listen, we'll look forward to your reports. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you.
All right, boys.
There he is. Tim McManus covers the Eagles for ESPN.com. He's got it right on the number, 26-20.
Maybe he set the line.
A little weak, to be honest.
Give me a lead, Tim. Give me a lead.
That's exactly right. 610-632-0975. We're coming down the home stretch. We got a couple callers. We'll get to you. The Mike Missanelli Show continues.
Hey, everybody, it's Bill Colarulo. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel so you can engage during the show, and you're not going to want to miss all the content that we post. It's not only the live videos. It's videos after the fact. It's our shorts. It's all the content you want as a Philadelphia sports fan. Looking forward to connecting.